record. I'm going to make sure it is recording. Okay.
It is.
The following is a fictional role play. All names, places, and events are fabricated. Hi, Margaret. Welcome back to the University Resource Center.
Hello.
Hi. So this week, I would really like for us to come up with some goals that you and I can work towards in the next couple months, and also some action steps which will kind of help us get to those goals. So in this relationship, I want to be supporting you. So if there's any goal that I suggest that you think is just not going to work at all, you just let me know, because I want to be a helper for you.
Okay.
So why don't you start off by telling me kind of how have things been going since our last visit?
Well, so I'm still in the shelter, and it's still overwhelming, living someplace different with my kids, and them being away from the father figure that they've known. And so, I felt a little overwhelmed and anxious.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit on overwhelmed?
Mm-hmm. So it just feels like, I know just a short time has passed, but there's just so much to do. And I just have a lot of different feelings because I'm just still really nervous that if my boyfriend finds us, that he might try to hurt us. And then hearing my kids say that they miss their daddy is hard. And then knowing that the shelter is a very temporary situation, and that, in 30 days, so, if a week and a half I've been there, I have like about 3 weeks that I need to be able to try to find a job and, get a place to live. And that just doesn't seem like a lot of time. And so that feels stressful. And then I just feel tired a lot. And so it just feels like a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying that you're feeling a lot of kind of conflicting emotions. You're feeling exhausted and anxious and overwhelmed, and you're worried about your living situation and also your abusive boyfriend, and also about your kids. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it does. It's just a lot of worries. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's understandable that you would be feeling so much anxiety in this situation. This is a really stressful time for you and your kids, so I could definitely see that being a time of anxiety, certainly. So, you've mentioned, several different concerns, about your employment and your living situation and your anxiety and your children. Where would you like to start, do you think?
Well, I really want to get out of the shelter and want a place to live, but I also know that I need to find a job to be able to help sustain that. So I guess my number one goal needs to be finding a job. But I just feel so anxious and overwhelmed. I'm just not sure, how I feel about all that. But I know that's probably where I need to get motivated.
Okay. Yeah, so let's start there with, as a goal, finding a job. So you can't really control whether someone offers you a job, but we can control whether you apply for jobs. So why don't we make your first goal be, Margaret will apply for X number of jobs in the next month. And you can decide how many jobs that should be. What do you think?
Well, if I can do them online, I can do, at least, maybe one a day. Sometimes they take a long time and they're just so tiring. But sometimes, like, they'll take us to the employment office and I can do some of that there. So maybe a couple of jobs, 2 or 3 a week, or...
Okay. And you don't think that'll be, or you think that'll be a good number and not too overwhelming for you?
I think that I can handle filling out 2 or 3 a week.
Okay. So how about in the next week, you go to the employment office and you find maybe 5 jobs that you want to apply to in the next month or so. And then after that, we'll say the goal will be that you'll apply to 2 to 3 a week. Does that sound
Okay.
okay?
I think I can handle that.
Okay. And so for other maybe steps that we need to take, do you already have a resume and interview clothes?
They have helped me put together a resume at the shelter here at the shelter, and they, I think they do have some clothes that they can lend me for wearing to interviews.
Okay, that sounds good. That's good that the shelter is able to help you out with that. So what about childcare while you're going to interviews?
Um, I think that usually they have somebody that is there that, like a staff member, usually can watch the children for a short time if it's something really important like that.
Okay.
If I tell them ahead of time.
Okay, so we'll make another step is that you'll have to notify the child care person before your interviews and things.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. And then for another goal, you mentioned that you wanted to talk about your anxiety a little bit. What do you think would be a good goal for your anxiety?
Well, I really feel like I probably need to go back to the doctor and maybe talk about my medications again. I haven't had those, and I just feel like, just like my heart's going to come out of my chest, and I
Um,
just feel so tired all the time, and it's just really hard to do all of this because I just feel so anxious and tired.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think since you've mentioned that antidepressants, and helped you in the past, I can definitely refer you to a psychiatrist. How about next week? I will talk to the resource center and find some different psychiatrists, and next week we can work on getting you an appointment.
Okay.
However, it does take right now, about 3 months to get in to see
Oh,
somebody usually.
wow. Wow.
Yeah, so maybe in the meantime, we can talk about some other techniques, maybe like some mindfulness techniques and centering techniques that can maybe help you a little bit in the meantime. Do you think that would be okay?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay, all right, so we'll plan on that then. So let's see. You have talked about your some of your strengths. You mentioned last time, your relationship with your sister and your relationship with your friend Sarah. And then you also talked about some of your coping techniques that you use for your anxiety and depression. So I think those will all be really helpful for you as we work towards these goals. But let's talk about your readiness. What do you think on a scale of 1 to 10? About how ready do you feel to make some changes in your life?
Well, in my heart, I want to be really ready, but I'm not sure that I'm really, I, I'm just still so nervous. So probably about a 5. Just kind of, I want to be, but I'm just not there yet.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So we'll keep working on this, and we'll try some of these goals. And if anything doesn't quite feel right, we can always adapt and update things. So as we work on these goals, can you agree to keep coming to see me every week?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So we'll do that. And so for next week, you're going to we said you're going to go to the employment office and you're going to find 5 jobs to apply to. And then next week, we will also make an appointment with a psychiatrist and we will start working on some mindfulness techniques. Do these
Okay.
sound like some goals that can work for you?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, wonderful. What questions do you have?
I don't think I can think of any questions. I think that's probably a big enough chunk for me to get started with. So.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I was thinking about you this week. I was just thinking about how much courage you've shown, over the last couple weeks, and just to take this big step to move away from your boyfriend. And I think you've shown just a really great love for your children. And I'm just really excited to keep working with you. So,
Thank you. I do too.
yeah, good.